Welcome to Ozroll, a proudly Australian-owned and operated family business that has been servicing Australia and overseas since 1999. Today we're going to be talking about how to install a spring assist manual slide track blind. Ozroll will provide you with the material that you need to complete the task. For those times where you need to install a slide track blind between angled posts or pillars, please refer to our angle channel installation video. When you receive your carefully wrapped Ozroll branded packaging from us, you should have a complete head box, an assembled top tube, a welded fabric skin, 2 tracks and channels with the pre-installed fabric guides, and a kit box consisting of rivets, PVC top stops, bottom bar end caps, silicone spray, and any care guides for the product, and depending on the specifications, any extra small bits and pieces required. Now that you've checked to make sure that you have everything from us, let's get cracking. Start by unwrapping the head box. You will need to remove the head box lid, the fabric and the axle and place them aside. You will need to lift the head box up to the opening to establish where it will be mounted. The area where the lid goes will need to face outwards so the fabric runs down. Now it's time to mount the head box. Make sure that you use the correct type of screw for the application, such as brick, Hebel, aluminium, steel, or whichever surface you happen to be working with. Just remember that for face fix, you will need to put the screws through the back of the head box, and for reveal fit, you will need to put the screws through the head box end plates. Make sure you have mounted the head box level. If there are any gaps, you will need to use flashing. The next step is the tracks and channels. You'll need to measure from where the end plate ends, where the fabric feeds through, to the ground on both the left-hand side and the right-hand side. These measurements are what you will cut your tracks and channels to. So that the fabric guide can sit nicely, you will need to deduct 2 mm from the length either side. We supply the tracks, channels and angles longer than required so that the installer can cut them to the correct length. Now that you've cut your tracks and channels, it's time to mount the channels. How you mount your channels will depend on whether it is a reveal fit or a face fit. For this video, we have gone with reveal fit. You will need to place a channel beneath where the fabric runs under the head box, generally about 5 mm either side. The top fixing point should be 100 mm from the top. Make sure it is level and then secure the middle and then the bottom. Making sure that it is both level and secure, now place a fixing between the top and the middle and the bottom. You should have 5 fixings in place. Now replicate this on the other side. For face fit, you will need to secure the angle to the wall. You will then need to make sure that the smaller face is against the wall and the larger face is running parallel to the end plate. The top fixing point should be 100 mm from the top. Make sure it is level and then secure the middle and then the bottom. Making sure that it is both level and secure, now place a fixing between the top and the middle and the bottom. You should have 5 fixings in place. Now replicate this on the other side. Now that we've got the basic framework up, we need to set the tension of the spring in the axle. Ensure that the lock on the spring end of the blind is unlocked. Grip the squared axle with a shifter or a pair of multi-grips and turn in a clockwise direction. A general rule of thumb is 10 to 14 turns. Smaller blinds will require less, while larger blinds will require more. Just remember that the more you turn the spring, the harder it will be to pull down the blind at the bottom. Make sure that once you have done this, you place the lock back into place. Larger blinds over 3.6 meters will have a helper spring. This is marked by a paint marker. If you have one of these larger blinds, the tension should be 10 turns of the regular spring and 8 turns of the helper spring. Now that you have tensioned the spring, you will need to place it into the head box. Mount the idler end into its bracket. Make sure this is secure and then mount the spring end into its bracket and secure. The next step is to install the bottom bar. Pull the blind fabric out halfway and lock the blind. You will need to slide the bottom bar onto the bottom of the blind. Make sure that the locking mechanism is on the side that the customer has requested. Once you have done this, you will need to secure the blind in place. Take the clamp style end caps out of the kit box and insert them into the ends of the bottom bar. The clamp section should slide up onto the spline. You should have approximately 9 to 10 mm of overhang on each side. Insert the 2 small screws into the clamp ends. A hand screwdriver will do the job just fine. The left-hand side screws are fitted from the back. Once you have done this, you will need to install the top stops. Place the tracks loosely into the channels. With a drill a hole 20 mm from the top and 10 mm in from the edge. Install both top stops with the rivets supplied, but don't go popping those rivets just yet. Place one side of the bottom bar into the tracks, then lift the other side and slot it into the track on the other side. Hold the bottom bar firmly and pull down slightly to release the lock, and then move the bottom bar up until it is resting against the unsecured top stop. Remove the top stop on one side, gently slide the bottom bar up and slot the spline into the fabric guide. Replace the top stop and repeat the same process on the opposite side. The blind can be adjusted to ensure that equal space is present on both sides. This is to promote straight and level movement of the blind when it is raised or lowered. To do this, manually drop the blind from the top and slide the fabric left or right as necessary. Now we will need to make sure that the blind sits firmly in the tracks and retains its tension when it's lowered. To do this, gently push the track further into the channel. Repeat this on the opposite side to ensure the blind is flat and doesn't end up with ripples or wrinkles. To secure, drill a 4mm hole in the top of the track in line with the top stop and place an unpopped rivet into the hole. Repeat the process for the opposite side. From here, we need to mark out where our rivets are going to go. Always use a pencil in case you need to make a correction. Measure 400mm down from the top of the tracks and mark. Then place a mark every 600mm after this up to 2.2 meters. Then place a final mark 100mm up from the bottom of the track. Make sure that this is done evenly on both sides so that the rivets line up. Now adjust the tracks within the channels and ensure that there is adequate tension on the blind whilst accommodating out of square posts. It is important to ensure the tracks are level for the blind to move correctly. Pull the blind down and equalise the tension on the blind, ensuring that the tracks are as level as possible. Now drill a hole in the bottom marker of the tracks and place an unpopped rivet into the hole. Check that the blinds move freely up and down whilst retaining adequate tension. With the blind up, drill all marker holes and pop all rivets in the tracks, including the top stops. Now we need to set the locking positions for the bottom bar. Now pull the blind completely down and mark a pencil line on the inside of the track along the top of the fully lowered bottom bar. Now raise the blind. Using a spare clamp style end cap as a guide, mark where the lock hole for the central locking system will go. Then drill a 4mm pilot hole. Finally, drill an 8mm hole for the locking pins. Now repeat on the other side. This is where you will drill any other holes as requested by the customer, such as a quarter of the way down, halfway down, or wherever they want the blind to stop. Having said this, if the blind has been tensioned correctly, the bottom bar will stay and maintain tension wherever you leave it. Locking points just guarantee it will not move at all. Once you have completed this step, you can replace the lid on the head box and rivet it in place with the factory pre-drilled holes. And that's it. You now have an Ozroll Slidetrack installed and ready for years of trouble-free operation. For more detailed instructions or any troubleshooting, please visit ozrolltech.com.au/Slidetrack/installation-advice.